And 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Lisa Piper here, and today I want to talk a little bit about how to make herbal tea. So when you're making herbal tea, we're not really talking about actual tea leaves like green tea, white tea, or black tea. We're talking about using herbs in the same process as hot water and making tea, and this process utilizes the medicinal properties. So when you make actual tea from a tea leaf, that's a green tea or a blend, maybe a black tea, those you usually steep. You'll pour hot water over your tea leaves and you'll steep it 3 to 5 minutes, pull the tea leaves out, and then drink it. If it goes longer, it has a tendency to get more bitter. You don't want it to go too long, or the flavor's not going to be that pleasant unless that's what you're really after. When you make herbal medicinal teas, we're actually looking to extract the medicine from the herb, so you want it to go longer. So how long do we do this process? It depends on what it is that we're steeping. So if you go to steep a leaf, most leaves are gonna do best steeped, covered, about 20 minutes. Most roots are going to take a little bit longer. They're thicker, they're chunkier, and they're roots. They need much more extraction time and usually just a tad more heat. So they're going to steep covered about 30 minutes. Most flowers can go about 15 minutes. Some people say 5 to 15. I'm of the school of thought that we're really looking for medicine, so let's go closer to 15 minutes. There are some exceptions, like for example chamomile. Chamomile will have a tendency to get a little bitter if it goes after that 5 to 7 minute point, but most other flowers are just fine in that 15-minute time frame. So when you steep it, and I say covered, that means you've got your hot water, you've got whatever you're infusing it with, you put the herb in here, and then I put a little saucer on top so that all the steam is staying in there and it's just cycling and recycling itself. So what about powders? You can steep powders to make it into a tea. You're just going to make sure you have a way to filter it out, unless you don't mind drinking the herb, and some of us don't mind it at all. And it depends again on what the powder is from. Is it from a root? Is it from a leaf? Is it from a flower? That's how we know how long we're going to steep it. So what are we going to use then to as our infuser? So tea infusers come in a lot of different shapes, sizes, and types. This is a tea infuser where you'll put all the herbs right in here, and it's really nice. I like this one because you'll literally pour the hot water in here, stir it, so you're kind of mixing it up, leave it. When it's ready, and I'll put a nice little saucer over it. When it's ready, I'll pull it out, all the herbs are gone, and what's left is your tea that you're going to drink. It's really convenient. I like stainless steel because it's a much healthier option. Plastic is never a go for me because plastic in hot water is actually going to put things that can harm the body, and when you're looking for good medicine, you want to go the opposite direction. So stainless steel is my preference. You could use silicone as long as your silicone is completely BPA free and it's just silicone and not a blend. So double check your tea infuser. There's other tea infusers like balls. Most people have different balls that you'll put the herbs in and then literally close it up. And most of them have a small chain that you'll just literally dip in and dip out when you're done with it. Those are usually the most inexpensive ones that you can find for a starter that you can reuse over and over. And I find they're a great place to start, but sometimes the hinges will wear out over time. I find this one just to be a little bit easier and last a little bit longer. My favorite by far is going to be something like this that fits fully into a mug. You can put your saucer completely over it and cover it, and it doesn't matter how much herb you have in there. You can have a very small amount, or you can fill it with fresh herb. If you're doing something fresh leaves, fresh herb, it's going to be like fluffier, and so that's why I like this, because I have a lot more options. Stainless steel. All of these then can just go right into the dishwasher or right at the sink, wash them, reuse them right away. If you're doing powders like this, you're gonna want something a little finer, and so you can use what we do here at the co-op, or bags. These are natural cloth bags, and we prefer organic cotton so that we're not putting the chemicals that were into the fiber into our tea, right? Keeping the chemicals out. This is going to capture everything that you need. All the powder's going to actually stay in there, and I will literally fill it with whatever powder or herb mixed in here, put my teacup, my saucer over the teacup, and then I'm going to pull it out when I'm done so I can drink the tea. That makes it a lot easier. So there are sometimes teapots that will actually have something that will strain inside. I don't know if you can see this, but this has got holes in it at the spout, so it kind of captures some of the big chunky things, and that way you don't need an infuser. The lid's already on it to steep. When you're ready, you just pour. So there's a lot of things out there. Notice this is ceramic. It's not plastic. Once again, when you do make your tea, you're avoiding plastic. I love ceramic. I'll use stainless steel sometimes if I'm taking it to go, or I'll use glass that's mason jar, and that works as well. It's hot to the touch and there's not a handle, but it depends on the application, and I do know it can handle the heat. So, basic question of how hot does the water need to be? So it depends on the exact process that you're using. These are just good rule of thumbs and general, I'm speaking in general terms here. If you are looking for something that is a root and it really requires a lot more extraction, I'll use a little bit more heat, and that's boiling water. If I'm doing something like a leaf, maybe a flower, all you need is warm water. It does not have to be boiling. Cover it, steep it, and you're good. One of my other most favorite ways to make tea is to do sun tea. And I'll do it with any form. It doesn't matter if it's a root, a powder, a flower, a leaf. And I will literally, just like in the old days, get a glass jar, and I cover it with something, some sort of lid. Most of those lids have a little spout so that the steam can come off. Sometimes I'll put just a loose cloth over it, rubber banded. That way the steam can go through, but the bugs can't get in. That one, I will literally set it outside, no heat required. You just add filtered water, your herbs, set it out in the sun, and this will usually take a few hours. It depends on how sunny and how hot it is outside. Where we live here at the Gulf Coast, in the summertime, tea's ready in less than an hour. It's hot, it's rich, it's done all the steeping it's gonna do, it's great, it's ready to use. Sometimes in the winter, takes a little bit longer, or on a cloudy day, you're gonna wanna steep that a little bit longer. So again, can you steep it too long? Most herbs, not really, with the exception of an occasional sensitive flower like chamomile. And then you'll know. So every herb is a little bit different, but now you know how you can do it. You can add fresh things, so if you want fresh turmeric, fresh ginger, you can stick it in there and use all the same processes. And one of the most favorite things I love to do, especially in the summertime, when I'm making sun tea, is I'll add fruit for flavor. Summertime fruits are my favorite for flavoring. If I want something that has a little bit of sweetness, to maybe cut the bite of a bitter herb or maybe an earthy herb. So I'll use a plum, cut it up, a peach, cut up just little bits of it, keep the slices right in there, stick it in the sun with my herb, let it steep and do its thing, strain it all out and drink it. So how long will tea last if you're making a big batch, like in a sun tea jar? In the refrigerator, it'll generally last up to 3 days, and then you're gonna have to call it. So try to make sure and drink it up before then. So hopefully this will give you a good overview of how to make medicinal teas and get the most medicine out of it. If you enjoy tips like this and videos like this, we appreciate you subscribing to our channel. Give us a like, share it with a friend, and you can check out our website at shopnaturalliving.com and see what else we have for you. Happy healing!